Call me silly, but I once thought that feminists really did want equality, and that's why I backed them, or at least I backed equality of opportunity. But it turns out that feminists in the New South Wales Education Department, not all of them female, that they, for one, aren't fighting for that principle. They're fighting for their side. They're like many race activists that way. As the Daily Telegraph reports, the Education Department's diversity and inclusion strategy wants to increase the number of women in senior leadership roles from the current level of 53% to 60% by 2025. I've got to say, what? It actually wants 2/3 of the bosses now to be women? What happened to equality? Well, says the department, women taking 60% of the top jobs is only fair because women make up 80% of the teachers down below. But then you think, wait a minute, if only 20% of the teachers are men, isn't that the obvious inequality that this department should be fighting? For heaven's sake. And this, after all, is the inequality that probably matters most to children. Because this is beyond a problem in just New South Wales. Around the country, state schools are desperately short of male teachers. Of every 5 teachers in primary schools, just 1 is male. And you might say that's unfair on a number of children. For one, you see, we have nearly 1 million Australian children now living with just one parent, usually mum, at home. And many experts say this is one reason why there is actually a crying need for more male role models in schools. So, why aren't there screams of outrage about glass ceilings for men at schools and quotas to get more and affirmative action and all that kind of stuff? Is it because the aim never really was for gender equality? Is it because the problem such feminists had with male dominance was just with the word male? Female dominance, that's fine. Forget the principle, just pick your side. But let's be honest, why don't more men want to become teachers? Well, maybe it's because we're told sometimes they're scared often of being accused of being pedophiles if they get too close to children. Perhaps they don't like the pay or the lower status these days of teachers, which is sure sad. But whatever, I think it's pretty clear it's their choices that create this imbalance. Yet that excuse never seems to work when we're talking about why men also dominate in their turn in, say, the police force or in the army. Might that imbalance have not exactly the same sort of cause? Women just not tending to go much for those jobs. But there, of course, you do get then affirmative action schemes and all that to fix this horrible imbalance. Not so, though, for getting more male teachers. No affirmative action there. And the whole area really is riddled with double standards. And how often do we see this now, where activists become what they once opposed? For instance, we see people who once fought racism now acting a bit like racists themselves, wanting race-based spaces and race-based hiring policies and race-based laws and race-based constitutions, and for heaven's sake. Now, if the New South Wales Education Department really does want to fix some figures, how about figures that really matter to the kids? I mean, figures like this one. Do you know, we now have 5 times more students than a decade ago being accepted for teacher courses, even though their ATAR scores are less than 50? I mean, forget whether they're male or female. How about we forget all that? How about making sure we just get great teachers into our schools? Isn't that what our children most deserve?